Ooh, it's a hot one today out there on the range. Figured I'd come in here into the shade to talk to the people stuck out there in the east, because I've been hearing all this complaining about there's a war going on or something like that. So along with my project in the future is just addressing people everywhere that can imagine a better world than the one we have today, that also didn't make all of these bad decisions, but are just more or less along for the ride, like most normal people. Innocent people, like innocent victims, for example, of bad politics. That can be international politics, can be domestic politics, can be a combination of the two. And then you've got really bad times, right? Like we have now to a certain extent. So my appeal is directly to the Russian people that didn't get anything out of this war, and don't get anything out of land grabs, and certainly don't get anything out of all these international contracts that are making very strange people very wealthy at the expense of a lot of needless lives that have been lost in a brutally stupid escapade. And when I say brutally stupid, let's just put this in let's put now in context that it was universally agreed that the Russian escapade in Afghanistan in the 70s and 80s was one of the stupidest, worst, dumbest things that they did in the last 100 years or something like that. This one, the Ukraine one, this tops the cake since then, and it's like 10, 20 times higher. So who's responsible inside Russia for that mistake? That's a great question to start with in a new free Russian opposition, which is to say completely outside, because everybody that's on the inside now is going to be prosecuted for war crimes. That's already, I didn't do it. Someone over there didn't do it. This is the courts themselves, the international courts themselves that decided this. So it's not going to go away. These people screwed themselves, okay? And they have nothing to do with the Russian people. Because if they did have something to do with the Russian people, then there would be free and open elections, wouldn't there? It would be popular vote, majority rule. Like, oh, here, welcome to the modern world where we participate with our citizens and ask them what's a good thing to do and what's not. And we really benefit from the free exchange of ideas. But of course we do curation, so the good ideas go to the top and the bad ideas just get disappeared and never heard again. Perhaps the microphone is cut off somewhere, doop, and on to the next. Maybe there's a five second delay, so if somebody starts with crab or switches to crab, they're gone like that, you know? Because we want to give and devote time to people who are very authentically interested in improving the country and the conditions for all of the citizens of all of Russia, and how about Europe and the world at large, and not for minority interests that nobody knows because everyone's broke and working for $200 a month, is that the going wage? Because let me tell you, if the natural resources are nationalized, Russian citizens will become the most wealthy in the entire world. Like that. They will have higher standards of living, decent moral education. They will have the most modern legal machinery in the world. All that can happen. Of course it can. And it can be a legitimate partner to a legitimate West, where we help each other and grow. We do things the environmentally responsible way. We do things the modern way. We don't think about the past at all. The past is not anything, is not a part of the future. Because here's something that Russians understand. You can make a mistake. You can make 2 mistakes, you can make 3. You can just make a whole bunch of mistakes. But then, guess what? One day, one moment, you can just stop making mistakes. That's the day when you just stop making mistakes. And then it doesn't matter how many mistakes you make, because you just don't make that mistake again and again and again. So it's very liberating to move on, especially past mistakes, moving on to better solutions. So why can't Russia be a legitimate partner, a legitimate part of the West? Why can't there be an incorporation? Well, look, there's somebody perhaps playing both sides, perhaps somebody causing a fight. Have you ever seen that? Like at a bar or in some other place where there's an instigator. Like there's 2 people that would just rather do something else, but then there's an instigator running back and forth. It could be a woman. Sometimes she's the victim, right? But sometimes she's playing 2 sides off, because she's flirting with this guy, then she's dancing with this guy, because she just wants some drama in her life, because she's bored. She wants a little bit of excitement, a little bit of drama, because otherwise it would just be a very civilized dance where everybody gets along. And then, oh my goodness, somebody gets murdered. Then somebody pulls out an axe, and then there's 10 dead people, and it's a big tragedy. And nobody thought it was going to go that way, but it did, because a lot of stupid things started happening. But here's another thing. Okay. I always like to give Russians an out. No matter how many problems there are. Problems solve themselves. Problem solve. I don't have to solve Russia's problems. I can't solve Russia's problems. Even somebody else. There's so many problems in a day, but you can be consistently good. Good words, good thoughts, good deeds. You can get back to that type of morality, which is immediate, which is, I don't have to work for bad money. I'm not working for bad money. I would rather starve. That might be the good thing to do. It might not. Might be better to find a better option than having to work for the wrong people. So I think the concept of an authentic Russian opposition now is quite legitimate, and it can be started or by anyone in the world that cares enough to do it and is authentic. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of posers. There's going to be a lot of people interested in getting on that train, especially on the ground floor, which is why you need to do a lot of vetting. Like these people associated with oligarchs, they're done. Like this, bye-bye. And just never come back like a freaking robber. Do understand. So if there's war crimes here and then it just gets expanded, so there's the first 1,000, then maybe there's 20,000. And it's on both sides. How about that? Like it's not just one side, it's a mutual thing. Because if both sides were not exactly legitimate, then both sides share the blame, don't they? I think that's fair. I think the world would see that as fair. And because the world is going to decide the criminal case, and it's probably going to be, I'm guessing, at least 10,000 people, especially all the propagandists and cultural people that have been falsifying history, for example, using hateful, dehumanizing strategies on both sides that could also extend into other countries because it's now a global network, right? So that could just have a snowballing effect that could not only lead Russia into the best 100 years that it has ever had in history, quite surprisingly so, but Europe too can just completely explode with prosperity and civility in the next 100 years. And why not? We've got a lot of good music, even if it's just digitalized and saved somewhere. We have a lot of creative capacity. We got a lot of good hearts and minds and hands and feet and everything else. Who doesn't love Europe? Who doesn't love Russia? Who doesn't love the good people of the United States of America, Australia, and New Zealand? Who doesn't love them? I know God loves them, because otherwise we would have been evaporated and dehumanized off this planet a long time ago. But guess what? That didn't happen. So how far are they going to push until there's some pushback? And in Russia, it's already happening. See, Russia's connected to Asia. It's too big. So federalization, who knows what ideas a new Russian opposition can have that accepts also having an opposition to itself, if it's legitimate. Like, oh, I say let's do this and you say let's do that. I'm not a genius. I don't know what's the best, but if 100 or 1,000 of the best specialists, most authentic people in the world from different countries that have the best intentions ever say in a majority way that I'm wrong, I might just have to review that opinion. And in fact, I'm very grateful, thankful that they got off their arses and made the effort to inform me that I could be wrong, or that there's implications that I might not have considered up until this point. I treasure that type of input, and as should other people, because otherwise, who's left holding the bag when things go? Yeah, the guy at the top, if he's going to take on personal responsibility for his actions, as he should, as our Western values do demand that he does. But that seems to be that hasn't translated into postmodern culture, has it? Where it's just like, oh, it's that guy's fault, or I didn't have anything, I didn't say that. They play back the tape. There I said it. I didn't say that. Oh, you did? Well, what about this? What about these 20 people that were there, even though the tape is falsified? So that's postmodernity. That's neo-barbarism. That is the dead end that they've taken Russia down, especially in these last lost 30 years. And I want all the Russians to know it hasn't been better in the West. We might have had a little bit of more materials, and it's hard to make comparisons. I am not going to make that comparison, but we have absolutely been viciously attacked on every level for the last 30 years. And you can look at the statistics. It's economics, right? We went like this, and other people went like this. And you know what? It wasn't the Russian people that went up either. So we both went like this. You see the commonality there? See, there is a commonality in the West. So these people hate the West, right? They attack the West. And you're part of the West, at least the Western half of it or more. How many millions do you got? So wouldn't it be unfortunate if this minority, weird, strange, conspiratorial interest decided to also push the nuclear button? Wouldn't that be unfortunate, don't you think? Just think of the environment alone. Don't think of the people, because dust in the wind and all of that, because that could also happen if the Gobi Desert starts like billowing like this, and then we have this climate change along with, I don't know, 1,000 nukes going off all at the same time. Like, so that, they say that the dinosaurs died out because there was some type of meteor that put so much particulate matter into the atmosphere that blocked the sun's rays, causing winter-like conditions, as well as spreading poisonous ash around the globe. So at certain times, 99% of the species that have been on this planet have become extinct. And there's been mass extinction events. So go back in history if you don't think that is a likely possibility. So, but this is something I've discovered, is that we hold on to these a belief in rationality, but here's the catch: people are not rational, which also means that people don't make the best decisions, even though they rationalize the decisions that they make. See, so it's a slippery slope. And Russia's certainly gone down a slippery slope because there's all this blood that's been like thrown in great gushing geysers on the slide down to the abyss. So guess what? You need to rethink people telling you what to do, and not just taking the brand, this is the Russian state telling you to do that, because in a state that has an opposition, you can come to conclusions that are best for everyone. But when there's no opposition, it's just a minority interest, which means it's de facto illegitimate. So what you have is people playing games with uniforms and symbols and stories and positions, but who have no legitimate authority. So it's a bad situation to be in, which can change, but might not. But it can change more if more people do something about it. So the International Criminal Court has done something about it. It's declared people that war crimes has happened, which means everyone associated with that is going to get taken down at some point. Will it be this year? Will it be next month? Will it be 2 years? Will it be 3 years? I don't think they're going to get out of this one this time. It's too big, the mistake. So here's the other thing. They made the mistake. They are not you. You are not them. And the future looks a lot brighter without them. And I mean all of them, not just the head honcho, just all the way down the line. So, which is also an opportunity for the people that can get away to get away now and don't come back. Not you, your friends, your cousin, your aunt, your best friend's best friend. Because the comprehensiveness of what can be rolled back these days in modern times using modern technology is expansive. It's comprehensive. It's world leading in its extensiveness. So I see bright times ahead. It's a dark day now. It is. It's a dark day on both sides. But I think there are brighter days ahead. There has to be. I mean, how deep can this tunnel go? So I'm not an official member of the Russian opposition, but I'm an honorary member. Because the same thing's going to happen in the West too. All these people who've been exchanging money and being engaging in lawfare and cultural warfare and all these things, that they're all going to leave at once. See, because they're smart. And because they can self-rationalize their own self-interests so easily, why not just leave now? Why not just get out, cash out while you can? Because if you don't, I think there's going to be like more of a consequence. It's not going to be, let's say, a light sentence. It's going to be like that. But see, this is the thing. People are they want the moon. You know, they're going, they want the moon. And they, guess what? They don't get there. So it's tragic for them, but in a way it's not, because this is divine justice, which is, again, it would be divinely just if Russians, for example, got more in touch with Western Buddhism at this point, without the wokeism, and without a lot of institutions that appear to be one thing, but actually are quite another, which is disappointing. I hate being deceived. Everyone hates that, but this wouldn't be the world we live in if it wasn't the world we live in. So, but how far are you going to compromise with that? You don't have to take it to the grave. You don't have to be that tricked. You can start checking out, and I advise that you do, because you don't have to live here. You can live in the future, you can live in the past, you have options. But also from a standpoint of personal well-being, we need good people that also are in it for the good long haul, which means they train and have endurance to get through these dark times. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I see it. See, I can see it already. There it is. Can you see it? I can see it too. It's going to be a great future. Check the links below. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening.